was in the film industry for 15 years. I was a cinematographer, Steadicam operator. I ended up starting a land clearing company by accident, just on my phone. Years later, that turned into a bunch of employees. One of the things we do is provide targeted grazing. So when you have an area that you need to clear the land, you can't get a machine on there. We bring in goats. We'll bring in a herd of 30, 60 goats. They'll go to work and they'll clear the entire thing. One thing that we really wanted to do was be able to track the goats. There's systems that exist where you can have smart collars that track the goats, but they're $300, $350 per node. We figured out a way to build it for $30.
Hi, I'm Todd, and I've spent the last decade building software for the trades. I'm talking HVAC, plumbing, electrical, landscaping, and every home service business in between. For my entire career, building software for the trades meant waiting for Silicon Valley to notice you. But that wait is over. Founders on the trades are building their own tools now, and they're doing it better than any outsider could. This show is where I spotlight them. Welcome to Blue Collar Builders. Let's get into it.
Good to chat. I appreciate you taking the time. Let me just set the stage for everyone here, because we just chatted for 20 minutes, and then we said we should really make a video about this. Scott, I think you messaged me on Twitter. And
Yeah, I just saw your post.
Yeah. And you're the founder of Hudson Valley Forestry, which I'd love for you to tell everyone about. But I was so intrigued because you have built a lot of your own software to run your company. You have such a unique perspective on it, especially from being in the trades. And I know you were in kind of film before. And I felt like everyone had to hear your story. So if you don't mind, can you spend a minute just kind of going backwards to our previous conversation and introducing yourself, and then we'll go in from there?
Yeah, sure. I was in the film industry for 15 years, and I was a cinematographer, Steadicam operator. And, that was great, but you're away from your family a lot, and it's long hours. And I ended up starting a land clearing company by accident while just on my phone when I was working in film, because there's so much downtime.
Wait, how did you start a land clearing company from your phone?
I had a property that I wanted to clear out for myself, and I was like, well, I'll just buy a machine. And then I did that, and then I was like, you know what? It was about the time where a process called forestry mulching was really taking off. And I was like, well, if I just throw a little more money into this and get a CDL, I can just do this. And I'd much rather be outside than inside.
Yeah.
And so years later, that turned into a bunch of employees,
How many?
multiple different. I've pared down since with the economy, but at the time it was a couple years ago, we were 15 employees.
That's awesome, man.
We were doing military jobs on the civil site side, but primarily land clearing.
Yeah.
Anything from someone's backyard that's a half acre to a 50-acre solar site clear cut for industrial solar. And we really got into pipeline right of way.
Got it. So you, just to make sure everyone's clear, before this, no experience with software engineering, coding, anything like that?
No, nothing. The only experience I had was purchasing super expensive, poor quality software.
No names.
Yes, SaaS.
Yeah.
That was really expensive, and to be honest, it was the software. I had a rental business related to the film industry, and the software at the time looked like it was made in the 80s. It was really expensive. And now looking back at that, I could make that on Claude in an afternoon. I mean,
Yeah. So let's a few questions for you. Clearly you're a builder in terms of you can use your hands, but haven't necessarily had software experience before. But how did you first get into Claude? Because I think when I talk about Claude Code with some people, they think I'm speaking some crazy language. So my first question for you is how did you get into it? Do you have friends that are convincing you to get into it, or are you the pilled one, trying to convince your friends and they all think you're speaking a different language? Where's the dynamic for you here?
I started using regular AI just in a web browser, and I was trying to build up my network infrastructure. Again, I know nothing, but I'm trying to get a server, maybe run my business stuff on it, at least have a NAS where I can store everything. I do some video editing for promos and stuff. So I started doing that, and I would go between the LLM, in this case, Grok, hey, Grok, what do you think about this? Okay, try that. And it was how it is, when you get into the terminal and you start putting a code in, then it's no, there's an error there, and you're going back and forth, and it would take forever.
Yeah.
And then I don't know, I just heard about Claude Code and I downloaded it, and I was just immediately blown away that that it's actually working on your computer and has access to everything.
Yeah.
And from that point on, it was just like a rocket. Like,
Do you
you
have like
know,
friends that are into Claude Code, or are you the person in the group that's like telling everyone they all think you're crazy?
I'm the obnoxious guy in the group telling everyone, like, you need to do this. And some have listened and now they're exactly the same. They're like,
They're
you know,
totally
I talked to them a month later and they have like 3 monitors in front of them and they're sending me demos of everything they built.
yeah.
But I'm basically like the obnoxious friend that is constantly bringing up AI when no one else wants to talk about it.
Yeah. No, I totally get it. I'm the same one. Okay. So I think the first thing you did is you rebuilt your website. You said your website was awful. You didn't like doing it. And with Claude, you built a Hudson Valley Forestry.com. You guys should check it out. You built that website yourself. How long did that take you?
Yeah, I mean, I liked my current website, but I knew it was time for a refresher. And I have to say that because my ex-brother-in-law built it for me.
Okay. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it was like, yeah, I figured it was time for new websites. I learned how to use Claude very basically, on a very rudimentary level. And then I was like, all right, let's see what it can do. And I didn't even know you could build a GUI in it. I thought maybe it was just like the back end. So I just trial and error. And all of a sudden within a couple days, I had a beautiful website in my opinion.
It's crazy. You don't have technical background, but you have enough with the film background that you like know some stuff there, which is super interesting.
Yeah, I know some technical stuff, but certainly I never had written a line of code ever.
Yeah.
And I wasn't interested in making a website, but once you start doing it, you're like, oh, I could self-host this. Oh, I could put the video on this VPS and then it'll load faster. And then it's just solving problems. That's all
Yeah.
it is.
It's just a giant puzzle. So then you start building software for your own company. Can you talk about the 2 pieces of software I think you told me that you built for your own company using Claude?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, what I started with was the website and then endlessly the system that connects the website, like form submissions to my backend, my ERP and my CRM. And I started self-hosting those. I didn't build them. Um, and so I built all the connections between those to have it really work the way I wanted to. And not only did I build it myself, so it was totally custom, but it was free because everything is just self-hosted on my own servers.
Sure.
So that was huge. Um, and then from there, I just started building different projects. One project that I'm excited about is there's Sycamore API, which is basically a API directory for contractors in my specific industry. So, I don't even think it's relevant yet, but when someone now instead of a Google search, someone's going to do a LLM search.
Sure.
And this site basically exposes all those API endpoints. So, instead of someone actually making a call, an API can make the call in milliseconds.
Yeah.
And then I started making, we work in remote areas. We work on pipelines that are, it might be like up what is like, as steep as a ski slope in a valley where there's no cell phone. And we have guys out there. And, in the past, we used DMR radios to stay in touch.
Yeah.
But what I've started building is a self-healing mesh network, based on the open source programs such as OpenMNA or Reticulum.
Yeah.
And
Are
so what I
easy when you use those words? Because
say it again?
I know what you're talking about, but when you talk about these APIs and all these words, do like your friends think you're totally nuts?
Yeah,
Yeah.
basically, yeah.
I'm just joking. I feel the same way, but sorry, keep going.
Yeah, I know. And if it sounds too technical, I could like try to dumb it down. But not that I really know that much about it. But essentially, instead of having proprietary radios that would just give a voice, voice back and forth between everyone, I figured, okay, well, we have tracking in the machines. If we build open source nodes that can run a machine, a guy in a dozer, a guy in a mulcher on someone's belt, and later I'll get into animals. Everyone can stay in communication. The office can contact these guys. They have internet. They can text. They can send photos of the job. The interface I made has a map where you can overlay Google Earth like KML or KMZ files, so you can make sure you're on track. Sometimes in pipeline, if you're doing maintenance, you move fast. You might move like 10 miles in a day.
Yeah.
So it's
Well, let me ask
important.
you a question. So you have all this nuanced knowledge. Like, there's no vertical software company out there with that much nuanced knowledge that could build that personally for you. There's nothing like that.
I'm sure there is. I mean, there's certainly extremely expensive
Yep.
systems that are very similar, but it's for like military and SWAT teams,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know? So you're talking about one node with those systems is like, I would say minimum 5 to 8 grand, but really like 10 to 20 grand per node,
yeah.
and we're talking about building nodes open source for $200.
All right, so you're building nodes open source now that you have taught yourself Claude Code, and the second thing you're doing is with you have deep expertise in goats.
No, well, I don't have deep expertise in goats, but I do. We provide targeted grazing.
Yeah,
I have herders I work with that actually are really great with goats. But one of the things we do on both the residential and the commercial side is provide targeted grazing. So when you have an area that you need to clear the land, let's say it's overgrown brush, it's on like a rocky hillside, you can't get a machine on there, or in the oil and gas world, we might be on a slope that has a valve site below it, so
yeah,
you can't put a machine over, high
yeah.
pressure gas lines that feed the East Coast. So we bring in goats and we'll bring in a herd of 30, 60 goats and they'll go to work and they'll clear the entire thing and it works great. One thing that we really wanted to do was be able to track the goats. And there are systems, again, there's systems that exist where you can have smart collars that track the goats, but they're like, a subscription plus like $350 per node.
Yeah.
So we figured out a way to build it for like $30,
It's crazy.
you know?
Yeah, no, you're the definition of someone that kind of saw a problem and is continually finding ways to just kind of build your way into a better solution. It's interesting, and I know you at the end of our conversation you said something about like you do all of this obviously to optimize your job and to make you more efficient, but you said something about your family that I thought was like totally true. Maybe we end with that. Like, why are you building all of this stuff?
Well, yeah, I mean, I listen, I love getting in a machine and cutting down trees and being out there in the field, but the more I can be at home with my kids, I have 3 boys and one on the way, the better it is for me, and some of the jobs I do are, you know, 2 to 8 hours away. So, you know, being able to be home more would be great. And being able to have, full display of what's going on in the field, it was really important for me,
Yeah.
you
So
know?
you think building the software will make your company more efficient, but allow you to spend more time at home with your family? Is that fair?
Yeah, that's fair. And it's more efficient. It's better for the clients too. They can see where everything is. They can see what's going on. I mean, communication is key.
Yeah.
And these tools have been available, but it's not financially viable for the application always.
And only a handful of people, software developers, could do it, and there would have to be a big enough TAM that they'd be willing to do it because they could sell it to enough people. But now with Claude Code, I mean, it needs to be enough for you and you to be able to figure it out. And
Yeah, I think this would have taken, I don't know anything about software development, but I imagine it would be extremely expensive and take a whole bunch of very smart people a long
and they
time.
won't do it because you're just one use case or 5 use cases. They would just
Yeah,
want.
it would make no sense to drop money into something like this to track the goats,
No.
like just put the
Exactly.
goats out, whatever.
Yeah.
But, now we have the tools, so why not use them?
I'm gonna end with that because that was an amazing quote, just everything about the goats and the family. But, listen, I
Yeah, I try
appreciate
to speak in sound bites.
yeah, yeah, I appreciate your time, and I think this is, like, the exact definition of what we keep seeing is, like, these blue collar builders that I think are the future of software. So, I appreciate you sharing your story.
Yeah, thanks, man. I appreciate it.